Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm Gbenga, Odegbami, CEO, co-founder Youverify, KYC automation for banks and startups. At Youverify, we help banks and startups automate their decisions and help them acquire the right customers and mitigate fraud using data. This is extremely important in Africa, where data is not readily available and in some cases restricted. In almost every country, when you try to open a business account, it does take some countries days, some countries weeks. In Africa, it's even worse. And the reason, and they spend in Africa, they spend about, an average bank spend about $3 million on KYC or KYB a year, and in other countries even more. And the reason is because there's non-availability of data for them to automate this process, the compliance process, and the unifying tool to do this is not available. And that's where Youverify comes in. We solve this problem by getting data that is across multiple, very vast, diverse type of data that allow our customers to achieve this in seconds and mitigate fraud at the same time. And we've processed over 1.5 million applications in the last 2 years. And as of last month, we processed over 400,000 applications from different customers. And our customers repeatedly come back to us because we are reliable and we have direct access to over 100 million IDs and other data sources that they need to automate these processes. And also, they're also confident that we are regulatory compliant and very, very secure. And we provide these data and services in a way that allows them that meets their different use cases, because all of them have different use cases, in a way that our existing customers in our market do not offer. So, and we have a very comprehensive value chain. We deliver these services using 2 products, Youverify OS, which our customers use to automate their onboarding to acquire the right customers and prevent fraud, and Youverify ID, which our customers use to acquire pre-screened customers. And the way we make money, customers pay us per verification. So every time they access our service, there's a fee they pay. Since we've launched, we presently have an MRR of $88,000 US and ARR of over $1 million from 40 fantastic customers. And we have a sales pipeline of over $4 million. Some of our top customers is Bank, which is Standard Bank, also, and Standard Chartered, Transion, Bolt, among others. We are presently in the process of onboarding customers like Jumia, Zenith Bank, and presently we are executing the project actually to provide plate number recognition and resolution for traffic offenders in Lagos State. Since we've launched, we've had solid and consistent growth. And in the last 1 year, we've achieved over 300% growth in our revenue, in our top line. And we've also been able to sustain our margins. And the reason why we've been able to sustain our margins is because we've been able to create use cases for our customers to drive recurring verification. So if you have one identity, we over the course of a year, we'll optimize it and our customers keep verifying it. And also we have strategic partnership with different customers that give us preferential access to markets and our Field Verify ecosystem and a zero code platform. We're a very strong team, very, very strong team and diversity. I myself, I have over 15 years providing technology for the financial industry and 6 years in startup. Our CTO is an alumnus of Cambridge, and she is expert at Sandela. And Simi is an expert and leader in data privacy and protection. So we are raising our Series A round. We've been here before. Our seed round was oversubscribed by the likes of Orange, Lofty Inc., and Village Capital. And we're doing our Series A now to raise $3 million. And right now we do about 400,000 verifications a month. And we want to grow to 1 million a day, and to generate and move our MRR to over $500,000 in the next 12 months. And I want to make this investment in people, majorly people, market expansion, and technology. That's our pitch. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Gbenga. Great timing on that, and great presentation and great business. Over to the investors. Love to hear what you guys think about Gbenga's business, Youverify. Who'd like to start?
I'm happy to go first, Jim, if I could. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and to present to us all today. Certainly fintech and know your customer, these are big issues, for Africa. And so I think you're certainly trying to solve, I think, a pain point within Africa. And could you give me a little bit more information kind of on your competition? I also know that there's a lot of people moving into fintech within Africa and in Nigeria. And so I'd just love to kind of understand who you think your main competitors are and the advantages that you have over other people that might be in this space. Thank you.
Okay, our main competitors in the market we play is Verify Me, it's in Nigeria, and Smile ID. The biggest difference between us and these competitors is because number one, we operate a very large ecosystem of field verifiers, which I mentioned earlier, which Smile ID doesn't have, but Verify Me is building one. We also have what we call a case management and decision management system, which none of them do have today. So this allows this basically stand us out, and that also is what that's why we're very strong in the corporate banking world, because that's what the value that we deliver is. Regulatory compliance to them is safe and secure, and that gives us an edge when compared to our competitors presently.
And before we go on with additional questions, I do want to note to the audience that you are able to make commitments and invest now. So click on that invest button if you're interested in Gbenga's business, and we'll do a introduction. All right. Thanks for that question, Jennifer. Sarah, sounds like you're next.
Thank you. Hi, Gbenga. Thank you so much for that presentation. And so this is obviously KYC is incredibly important, as Jennifer mentioned. I'm curious, sort of from a regulatory perspective, how you assess sort of the risks and regulatory changes, in Nigeria around KYC, around the banking system. Not just fintech, but I understand that, if I understand you correctly, you're applying KYC across various marketplaces. Can you talk about that, please? And where the government sees this?
Okay. First of all, in Nigeria, we ensure that we're in compliance with all the regulations, which include in Nigeria particularly is the NIDA NDPR rule, and all the other markets have a similar regulations, which we are presently in compliance of. We are 100% in compliance, and also because we are also integrated to NIPS. Which is have all some of the banking data. So because of that, we're in full compliance with existing regulation. And so any other regulation that is either being in discussion, for example, open banking regulation, we are also part of that discussion to make sure that as those regulations or policies are fine-tuned, we are part of that decision.
Thank you.
Great pitch. What you're doing is actually very near and dear to us, because Stonks could be a customer as well down the road, right? We have KYC and AML all over the world. So there are other providers in the space, right? And I'm curious if is there something specific about Africa or certain markets like Nigeria or South Africa or Kenya that gives you sort of an information edge or a processing edge that global players that like Stripe or others or other smaller KYC shops are not going to be able to do because they're based somewhere else?
Yes, because for example, as part of this KYC process, there are some data sets that the likes of Stripe cannot provide. One of them is address verification. So how do you verify an address where the data literally do not exist? Some places do not even have a physical address. So because we have created a very large ecosystem in our markets, so which basically like Uber-like type of ecosystem of thousands of youths, which have an app. So basically, if and they will have to replicate it to compete with us. So it's those kind of value that we bring on board that's extremely difficult for other people to replicate, because they have to go through the same thing we went through. It's not just technology; it's also a lot of operational know-how, and also making sure it meets the regulatory requirements of today and also tomorrow. And so that's one strategic value that we bring to the table. Another value is, like I said earlier, is our decision management engine, because we've been working with these banks and we know the market. So our decision and risk profiling is already mature for our market. And as I said earlier, none of our competitors offer the same service. So they will also have to go through this journey for them, and it's a very long, painful journey for them to reach that level. And so it's not impossible for them to create, but we have been able to execute faster, better, and we still believe that regardless of that decision to enter a market, we can compete favorably.
Can I ask a follow-on question to that, Jim?
Please do.
Oh, yeah. So can you talk a little bit more about the address verification side, which is very interesting, and I can see it as a competitive edge because many people don't have addresses. Do you have any partnerships with, other technology companies, whether it's sort of, drones or anything to find out addresses, or is this like a people operation, which also could be a competitive edge? Although an expense, a competitive edge for people sort of literally like walking the streets, taking pictures. Google Maps isn't quite as accurate when there are no street names and house numbers for the unbanked, particularly. Thank you.
Yeah. The way it works is that we basically help make an app. We acquire agents by it's basically a job, like a contract job, and they can just download the app, go through an onboarding process and training process and quality assurance process. And when they download the app, we know them, and we send them in on an onboarding package so that they can identify themselves as our agent. And when a customer requests for address verification, we basically look at them and basically we send them to the closest place, so they don't have to even drive there; they can just walk there. And so we're able to verify addresses without almost anywhere in our market without actually being there. So because we most likely have an agent there, and they use their own local knowledge to identify the place. So even if you put a description on your phone, because we are sending the address verification request to somebody local, they are able to figure out where that place is, and they'll take the GPS, they'll take the picture of the location. They basically create a proof of address for you, and it's all done in the app, and they upload it, and we'll send it to the customer in a regulatory compliant manner.
So this also has the opportunity, if I understand this correctly, to essentially help bank the unbanked or get credit for those who don't. I mean, there are other potential use cases. I understand maybe they're not your focus right now, but if you can find addresses and verification for individuals who currently don't have them, do you see other use cases in the future for helping those people? I don't know who the market is, but love your thoughts on that.
Yes, actually. For example, last year during COVID, the government wanted to do a lot of social intervention and help the poor. Well, these poor don't have proof of address. And how do you profile somebody that you don't even know? So they have to reach out to companies like ours to do that. And so that was why during the COVID, during the lockdown, they had to access our services to even, because the government don't even have the data. So they have to access our service to be able to identify these people and even create a file like the address where they live, for example. Yes, so and there are so many use cases. So what we try to do at Youverify is to quickly ramp up those use cases because we don't know, we believe that those use cases, the more we develop these use cases, the more we can increase our top line and sustain our margins.
So related to that, we have a question from the audience from Dan Block from Mercy Corps. Do you have exclusivity contracts with your commercial banking customers? What percentage of their KYC activities are performing today? Are you performing today?
Okay, presently we don't have exclusivity. The only bank we have exclusivity with is Standard Chartered today. The other banks, for different reasons, use different platforms. But as again, we are only 2 years through this journey. As it goes on, we believe we will be able to capture more market. We do have exclusivity with Standard Chartered, though. We have exclusivity with both. We have exclusivity with some. We have 50% with some banks. So different percentages.
Thanks for that. Thanks for Dan for your question, and encourage additional questions. We'll either read them out or potentially bring you on stage as well. So one of my questions is really around geographic expansion. Can you tell us a little bit about your plans for geographic expansion, if there are any? Okay,
so one of the things we have is that because we provide some fantastic service to some Pan-African companies in Nigeria, so they want this kind of service in other countries. A good example is Bolt. They want the only place they have that type of service in the world is in Nigeria. They don't have the service anywhere else, and they've approached us to replicate the services in all their markets, really. And the same thing with Standard Chartered, the service we offer. So basically, we've structured our expansion with the customers that have approached us to expand and to those markets. And so we are presently integrating and in discussion with customers in Cote d'Ivoire, in South Africa, in Kenya, and Tanzania. As part of, we already have customers that we're talking to there. We're already talking to identities authorities there. So we already have that as part of our roadmap.
Great, no, interesting.
Jim, yes, no, I've got a question with respect to data security, because you're obviously, holding very important information and data about people's lives. And I think any CEO right now has got a lot of questions with respect to data security and how you protect that. How do you see that? And what are you doing to build a business that keeps that in mind as you continue to grow?
Okay, so one of the first things we did is to identify regulations and policies and standards around data security, and make sure that we are in compliance with those standards. Because so we are ISO 27001 and ISO 27018 compliant. So we basically institutionalize data security first. And then we started with making sure all our team members and make sure we have experts in-house about data privacy and data protection. It's not just the technology, also like a conscience. Let me put it like that, to make sure that we don't become Facebook. Let me put it. So we also have that in-house, and we also make sure we design our product with privacy by design. That means that we design it in such a way that we deny ourselves access, because we don't want to be tempted to do that. So the foundation of our product is already designed to be in compliance with the likes of GDPR, NDPR, and almost every existing data regulation is, I think, supersedes those regulations. And so whenever we go to a new market we're talking to or are being audited, I will make ourselves even available for audit. For example, we make ourselves available for audit, but for all our customers. So when we started, we realized that the commercial bank we demanded to audit us, for example. And because we've already checked those boxes in terms of data security and compliance, it was very, very easy. And that is one of the competitive advantage we have. That's why even though competitors are coming to the market, they are like quick startups that might not meet these regulations, because maybe they prioritize other things, but we prioritize this. And so we typically check the boxes, and so it's much easier for a bank that is under significant regulatory cover to use our service. So when foreign companies in the developer, like in the EU, come to Nigeria, it's much more safer for them to work with us than some of our other competitors, because we're already in compliance with these regulations. And they also make sure they do a third-party audit on us, which we have always passed.
Thank you for that, Gbenga. Well, great. Well, love to hear the investor panel's views on this investment. Would you invest? Are you clicking on that like button now? Ali,
yes, yes. So I clicked the like button, and I would love to get an intro to set up a follow-on, do a deeper dive. I think this is pretty cool. I have a bunch more questions. Probably not enough time to go into all of them here, but I think it's pretty cool. Good job.
Thank you. Thanks, Ali. Sarah, Jennifer?
Yeah, I'd be very interested in this. I actually have looked at I just want to congratulate you on the progress you've made. I think I've looked at this a couple of years ago with a different hat on, and I think I think that's great. I think it's great. I'd be happy to be introduced.
KYC and bank verification is such a huge problem, not just in Africa, but throughout frontier markets. So if you're able to crack that. Jennifer.
Yes, no, I agree as well with what Ali and Sarah have to say. I think what you've done is fantastic, and it is a deep need in the African market. And I love the fact that you're on the ground. I love the idea of people, boots on the ground, going through and verifying all of this. So yes, I certainly would love to learn more and have an introduction. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Great. And for those in the audience, if you're interested in an intro and investing in Youverify, click on that invest button and you will get an intro. The poll that was just launched, the results of the poll, I don't know if we're showing this on screen or not, but if we can, that'd be great. But got a great reaction. You had over 95% of the audience say that they would invest something. So congratulations, Gbenga, for a great presentation, and best of luck in the follow-ups with the investors who have expressed interest. And awesome. And I can't see this on screen, so if you don't mind, how much did we raise, or how much intros were requested? 20K. Well, congratulations, Gbenga, for getting some interest for your company.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful.